Coming up in this episode of the Creepy Kingdom Cinema Crypt, we take you on a ghost tour on the legendary Warner Brothers studio lot. Greetings and welcome to the Creepy Kingdom Cinema Crypt, Creepy Kingdom's podcast all about the spookiness of cinema. I am your host, Mr. James H. Carter II. Coming up in this episode, we have a crossover episode between this podcast and our YouTube show, Creepy Quest. We are taking you on a ghost tour at Warner Brothers Studios. First of all, this is a very exclusive tour, not open to the public. So we want to thank Warner Brothers for allowing us to take part in this really awesome ghost tour. Secondly, if you want to hear the complete tour, only most of it is in the podcast version. If you want to hear the complete tour and see some of the things that we're talking about, you got to check out the latest episode of Creepy Quest. If you're unfamiliar, it's our vlog show on our YouTube channel. Please check it out. And while you're there, subscribe, because we're going to keep cranking out the Creepy Quest episodes there. And some other fun things that are in the works that we're not quite ready to announce yet, but we'll be announcing very soon. If you are listening to this on our YouTube channel, as every Creepy Kingdom podcast goes on our YouTube channel as well, then you already know that Creepy Quest episode is there waiting for you. And if you want to find it very easily, this episode, you can just go to creepykingdom.com. and it'll be right there, waiting for you. The other mysterious voice you'll hear throughout this ghost tour is none other than Shannon McGrew from NightmareConjurings.com. And from many episodes of Stay Haunted, which I think is returning very soon as the haunt season is slowly reaping upon us. All right, let's get to the episode, and let's open the crypt. All right, we are on the Warner Brothers backlot, and we're about to go on a ghost tour in conjunction with the press junket for The Curse of El Llorona, which we just saw here. Well, going on ghost tours is not usually the type of stuff that we have here, but
Hurricane in Florida
should be fun. Hopefully, El Llorona, I'll tell you, say your name right.
La Llorona.
La Llorona. I keep saying El. La Llorona. I keep saying El Llorona. My Sharona. And we're off.
We're off to the races. So, my name's Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Oh my God.
Whoa, getting off to a spooky start.
That's right. How we roll around here. All right, folks.
literally.
Shazam! Welcome to Warner Brothers After Dark.
Oh.
Like I said, my name is Nicole. We acquired this lot back in 1928 from First National Pictures. So Warner Brothers did start off with four brothers: Harry, Albert, Sam, and Jack. Make sure we remember Jack Warner because we do see him quite frequently here at Warner Brothers. Next portion here, this is our front lot. So initially we started off with 6 sound stages, and they were called super stages, so we split those in half. Now we have 31. Excluding number 13 because Jack Warner was extremely superstitious. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, so instead we kind of split some stages in half. We made them 27 and 27A and 28 and 28A.
I see somebody walking right here.
CG CGI, real, fake ghost, I don't know.
So real.
That's right. So we do have graveyard shifts here at Warner Brothers for our security guards. When they are patrolling around the lot, they are walking around the outside perimeters, and they're walking through our fire lanes on the interiors outside of the interior. Now, when security guards are roaming around, just making sure everything is going according to plan, there's no one sneaking in the lots. Each stage here is insulated with just a fancy word for insulation called insequil. So they can't hear what's going on outside when they're inside, and you can't hear what's going on inside when you're outside. So when they are walking those fire lanes and they hear someone running on the catwalk above them, but they didn't hear anyone enter in through the front door, then you can't suggest that it was something that was roaming around outside, because they in fact cannot hear the outside at the time. Interesting.
Spooky.
Yeah. Gotta think there's a lot of history here.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything?
Have I personally?
Mm-hmm.
No, but see, I feel like I'm so friendly that maybe I'm just not. I'm not the one to be haunted by. That I just kind of get shrugged off. Now, a lot of my friends actually have. So anytime I say a tour guide, I know these tour guides personally.
Okay.
So these stories were in fact checked. Coming up on the left-hand side, that giant WB emblem that's attached to the tallest soundstage here at Warner Brothers, that is stage 16. There's a massive water tank under those floorboards, so from the bottom of the water tank to the top of the roof. This building reaches 98 feet tall. So on the interior of the perimeters, there are 2 levels of catwalks. When security guards are in there, they will also hear running on those catwalks. And when they look up to see if anyone had snuck inside, a can of Coke dropped down from the top and landed on the floor at the bottom. It wasn't just an empty can of Coke, it was a full can of Coke, but no one was seen at the top of that floor. So just mysteriously dropped.
I'd peace out.
Now on your right hand side, this is stage 8. So a security guard that is still an employee here at Warner Brothers, his name is Johnny. In his pastime, he hangs out with paranormal activity groups. But he was training a new security guard, and they walked into stage 8 to just kind of let him know the rundown of what to do when you're inside of the stage, how to turn off and on the lights, where to walk, where to watch out for. And then they hear a noise, and they both look at each other, and they asked one another, "Did you hear that?" And they were like, "Yeah." It was children's laughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And yeah, that's right. And children are not ones to be messed with, because normally if you see children's in those scary films, that it's in fact a demonic, it's a demon of some kind. It is not a real child. If you are an Annabelle fan like myself, then you know exactly what you're in store for.
But do you believe it is true or not for you?
Oh, it's absolutely true.
It is?
Yeah. Now, in addition to that, when they both heard those children's laughter, that security guard went back in to see if he could hear it again. He heard nothing. He couldn't get anything on recording until he said, "Do you all want to play tag?" And a little boy said yes.
No.
Yes. Now that security guard that was being trained, immediately after they heard the children's laughter, he went to the office, turned in his badge, and has never been on the lot since.
Wow.
Got freaked out. He's not about that paranormal life. So we had security guards one year a while ago. They were watching all of the cameras in our prop warehouse, just making sure everything was, okay. Right. And so normally, our tour carts, they can reach a max of 14 people on a tour cart. So it's going to be less people. So a security guard is watching footage, watching tour guests go in and out, and he counts 13 people. And then towards the end of them about to leave the prop warehouse, he notices that this guy in a black shirt and navy hat just kind of walks off. And so the security guard rushes out of his office and rushes to try and find this guy in a black shirt and a navy hat. And where this guy was going, there was no exit. And so he found the tour guide and was like, "You have 12 guests, but I counted 13 on your camera, or on the camera on my security footage." And so the security guard recounted and said, "No, sir, I've had 12 guests this whole time, not 13.
Right.
So, welcome to the prop house. So, so that's why I'm making sure I've got all of my
To make sure.
So this is a very old building. It's also a very large building. So you're gonna notice that your footsteps, they creak. So your footsteps are very noticeable when you're walking through here. Now that doesn't give any reason why you would hear someone running up behind you and hearing these creaks in the footsteps. Now, we used to have a Howdy Doody doll right there in front of that white wall. And it was sitting in a chair facing away from the walkway just to not freak anyone out. Security guards came in, made sure that everything looked fine. They were like, oh cool, the Howdy Doody doll is turned around. And then they came back to switch out their shifts and the doll was turned and facing them. So they were like, that's weird, turned him back around, did their round and came back and he was once again facing towards the security guards. That doll is no longer there. So
Where's Howdy?
don't know.
Oh God, please over here.
We had that grandpa in the rocking chair that was constantly in the rocking chair and he turned into the crooked man.
Yeah.
That chair was in our basement. We had a tour guide pass that rocking chair and was like, oh, I recognize that was where the crooked man was. And then as soon as he left the basement floor and made his way up the stairs, a fire started in the basement and that chair is no longer in use. It's been hours in here.
No, definitely.
By myself? Probably not. With other people? Maybe. Actually, I'd probably do this by myself. I'm really into this stuff.
Has that giant Care Bear ever come to life when you're walking through here?
Do you want it to?
No.
A little bit.
Not that I'm aware of, but a photographer was in here pulling for a shoot. So they were in here pulling some hand props, and they kept hearing footsteps, and they kept turning around, and there was nothing there. And then all of a sudden, he just got cold, and the hair on his arms just rose up, and he asked, "Who's there?" And then as soon as he said, "Who's there?" everything just got silent. He got back to normal temperature. His hair went back down on his arms. There was no longer any footsteps. It just all disappeared. So it was like the person did not want to be found. And when it was noticed that it was about to be outed, he just stopped altogether. Robert Greenfield, the head of our property department, he keeps all the lights on the second floor on Tuesdays because a Warner, a female Warner, we don't know which one, plays bridge every Tuesday. They hear women laughing and you hear cards shuffling upstairs. And one of his ex-wives loved to play card games, and so every Tuesday she would play bridge. And she is still playing that every
Can't do
Tuesday.
that in the dark.
That's why we keep the
You
lights
have
on
to
for
keep
her.
the lights on.
Exactly.
So late.
Now, as we round the corner, we're gonna meet Abigail. She is a concept doll of Annabelle. So this is how we were trying to figure out what did we want Annabelle to really look like. So she is sitting here hanging out in her rocking chair. She doesn't look as scary as Annabelle. She's got her hair pulled back. She's a little bit smaller. So it kind of gives it a more like sigh of relief that she doesn't look like her true form. That's why we give her the nickname Abigail. She just asked if she moves. So, for Horror Made Here, Annabelle, she, in 2016 and 2017, she was in a glass case inside of Stage 48. That's where our self-guided portion of our tour is. So in 2016, she was in a glass case with lights at the top. And security footage is caught of those lights just constantly going out. But those are the only lights that do go out in any of our setups in Stage 48. So when some of people in the tour department needed to come in and fix the light, they opened up the case, they pulled out Annabelle, they handed it to a tour guide, they fixed the lights, put Annabelle back in her case. The tour guide had a pierce mark on her wrist. They checked Annabelle to make sure there was nothing sharp on her. There was, of course, nothing. Now, 2017, she was yet again in a glass case. We had footage of her seeing like she was getting loose in a sense. Her head kept hitting the door of the glass case, and she hit it so hard one night that she tumbled out. And custodial found her on the floor, didn't go near it, ran out, and she refused to come back inside of Stage 48 until after Horror Made Here was completed. She didn't want to come back. So they had to keep fixing it because she kept getting out of her case. So they eventually had to wire it shut, and they did that by giving it to the same tour guide. They took her out of her case, handed it to that same tour guide. They wired her cage, her cage, that should be what it is.
Cage.
Exactly. They put her back in, and this time that same tour guide had scratches on her wrist. So clearly she is not liked by one of our tour guides here at Warner Brothers.
Well, think about being inside there. There's no reverb. It's very, reverb. And the sound doesn't travel in there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So why did they hear footsteps all the time?
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
This is the most haunted soundstage that we do have on the lot. This is where Conjuring 2 was filmed.
Oh, this is where the ghost tour.
Yes.
The
Paranormal
paranormal
investigation.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Conjuring 2. So prior to Conjuring 2 being inside of here, this used to be the home of Chuck. Chuck was just a goofy show, Shazam! Yeah, so this was their home. Tour guide, before we were able to do the key card access, we would have to have someone sit and basically stage sit until tour guide showed up to get access to open up and let our tour guests inside. Speak of the devil, this is him. This is his story. So he just got a little bored, wanted to walk around, and yeah. He, oh, okay, great, perfect. Thank you. That's Brad. So he was bored, walked around, checked out some of the sets. One of the sets had a set of stairs. So he walked up the stairs to get a more clear view of everything that they had in the soundstage. When he went to go walk down, something came up behind him and pushed him, tried to push him down the stairs. Thankfully, he's a big guy. Also, being a big guy, that takes a lot of force. He lost his balance and thankfully grabbed that banister to where he did not tumble down the stairs. But that is why he is shuttling and not giving tours, because he refuses to go inside of here. Because that really happened to him.
Like legit?
For real. Yeah, that is why he is not. He is one of our most senior tour guides here, and he should be participating in these press tours, but he will only be shuttling because he will not go inside of the stage.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Now, all of these lights are also motion censored. There should be a couple of groups in here, so the lights should be on. So when they were filming Conjuring 2, there is a scene that had to do with basically a lot of water. So we had to create our own water tank right in here. So we man-made it. So 16, they have a giant water tank underneath that floor, so we made another one for stage 4. You don't see that here anymore. We man-made it, we filmed those scenes for Conjuring 2, and sealed it back up. So when you're here at night and you might be alone or you might be with a friend, you may hear noises of someone beating the floor as if we have left someone in that water. So Chuck happened before Conjuring 2, but yet that spirit tried to push him down the stairs. So before Conjuring 2 happened, we had someone come in and simply bless the stage so nothing crazy would go on. Exactly.
Right.
So it only seemed to anger them because stranger and more crazier things have happened since, including the water tank and the beating of the floor. You're going to hear running all along these catwalks here, but yet no one is there. And we don't know how they can get under here. Now, connecting below us, we're in stage 4. This is connected to stage 5 is on the other side. We have stage 10 and we have stage 12. Underground is tunnels.
Oh, really?
These were built, and this is, legend has it, this is where Jack Warner would go underground and run from his brothers that would be trying to get his attention or running from Betty Davis. Lovely woman. They had their moments, but they got it together enough that they did over 50 movies together. So that is where he will run and go hide. So we don't know if maybe the spirits in those tunnels have reached underneath our floor, and that's the beating that we hear, or if they are the people that are running through this catwalk. Now, that paranormal group, part of one of our security guards, Johnny, they came in here to record some EVP. They didn't hear personally anything until they walked out and they listened to the recording, and all they heard was screeching noises. There will be speakers in here that's not plugged into anything, and there will just be people screaming in those speakers, but yet there's no electrical outlets near where that speaker was at the time. Many things have happened. Nothing has happened to me in here, but who's to say that that doesn't change tonight? So,
Tonight, like right now?
as I said, these lights are motion censored, so in just a moment. And pretty sure that's why we have a cross on the side of our wall.
Where?
That's more like a plus sign.
Yeah, just pretend it's a cross. Don't anger the spirits.
So we have someone in our legal department is a big fan of our Conjuring universe. They came in to watch the Crypt Man scene, believe it or not. It happened just all connected. So she was watching that scene take place. We have our badges. They are pretty connected to us by a key holder. She had her sunglasses deep, deep in her pocket. She walked out of the soundstage. She went to go scan a badge to another building. Her scan card was gone. Her glasses were out of her pocket. She went to go retrace her steps. Nowhere to be found. She thinks that the spirits in stage 4 took them. She reported them lost. She reported them missing. Nothing ever turned up. Her key card was never scanned ever again because, we have it all on record. Anytime I scan this, it's going to be on record. So it just vanished. One of James Wan's assistant, she had worked on Insidious. She was holding onto his iPad, and pictures from Insidious popped up on her iPad. And she said, I didn't take these. I don't know how they got there, but it was inside of here in stage 4. So they were trying to figure out how to delete them, and she pulled up the picture and to hit preview mode to try and delete them, and they just wouldn't delete until after she left the soundstage, and then those pictures were gone. See? All right, let's go.
iCloud is freaky.
Why is this considered the most haunted?
This is where the most
I'm
normal
sorry.
activity has been.
Like, what caused this to be so haunted?
We're thinking it has a lot to do with those tunnels. Because the only things that are connected for these tunnels are going to be these 4 stages because they are backing up to executive circle. Jack Warner would get very upset if he didn't hear typewriters typing when he walked past their offices. So the Epstein brothers thought it would be funny to go to the sound department, get recordings of typewriters, and put it in their offices. So anytime they heard Jack Warner's footsteps, they just had to push play. That way, they didn't get in trouble. Now, to this day, people on the 2nd floor will hear typewriters typing and the clinging of moving the paper from the left to the right and shuffling the paper next to the typewriters. We don't have typewriters anymore. We don't have that sound anymore. But yet, that is one of the most heard of noises that we've had here at Warner Brothers since the Epstein brothers existed.
Yeah.
So they're still seen to this day. Now there's a security guard. I told you there's some places security will refuse to go. He was doing his outside patrol when he goes and looks up at the 2nd floor. All the lights turn on one by one, and he sees a woman in a white dress running across there. He goes up to check it. The lights are off. There's nobody there. He goes back down those stairs. He looks back up, and the lights all turn on once more, and that woman is running yet again. We think that it is our version of the woman in white. So the woman in white, she is, I feel like in America, it's known as our Bloody Mary. Now for our Latin American cultures, that's going to be La Llorona. So it's basically a woman who has had a tragic life and a tragic death. So she is internally suffering in her deceased life. So our version of the Lady in White is Betty Davis. Because anytime this woman in white is seen, she has blonde hair and she has her pinup style hair. She, like I said, she did over 55 movies here. This is near where her dressing room used to be. She's seen a lot right here in our rose garden. She loved to pester Jack Warner. So this would be where she would frequent because this is where his offices were as well. Now when she passed away, she is buried at Forest Lawn. It's about a mile away from here. And she's on the hill because even in death, she wanted to look down at Warner Brothers. Clever girl. Yeah. We had a couple of tour guides. Funny enough, 2 of them are doing the tours tonight. One of which brought a friend through the jungle, and they were just walking through telling what was filmed where in our jungle. When they both froze, went cold and silent, did not talk the rest of the way until they got out of the jungle. The tour guide looked at her friend and she said, "Did you see that?" And the friend just refused to speak. Their friend refused to speak until the following day when she just persisted on asking her. And she said, "I saw that woman in white on our left." And then she disappeared in the jungle. Once again, blonde pinup girls, dropped waist, Betty Davis. In addition to that, that's where we also had some scenes of Annabelle creation. So the scene where the little girl in the wheelchair gets pushed inside of that shed, gets attacked by the scarecrow, that was done in there. Now with our church here, this church is your opening church in Annabelle creation. So this has been utilized in that. This is where the Lost Brothers grabbed their holy water and the Lost Boys. Frog Brothers grabbed their holy water and Lost Boys. Over to the left, this is where the Vortex was in Monster Squad. Now James Dean, he did 2 of his 3 movies right here in Midwest. East of Eden is a big one that happened right here. This was Salinas, California. So when tour guides are talking about James Dean near the church, more times than not, the doors have just opened on their own, basically inviting us in and letting us know that, hey, it's okay, come inside and talk about it a little bit closer to where we filmed a lot of our scenes here. Would you all like to look at the interior of one of our houses?
Yes.
Let's do it.
This is also the area where Horror Made Here was, right?
Yeah, if you all have been to Horror Made Here, this is where Horror Made Here was.
Hey, this
That's the
looks
Conjuring house.
familiar.
All right. Well,
Thank you for taking me to my car.
absolutely. I hope you guys learned some stuff. Hopefully I freaked you out a bit.
That was awesome.
And I hope you enjoyed that film that you watched tonight.
Yes.
And just remember that Annabelle comes home in June.
I know.
Where does Annabelle live?
Annabelle's in the Relic Room. What are you talking about? She is based off of a
Real
Raggedy
doll.
Ann, real Raggedy Ann doll. Go
We'll
ahead.
talk about it later.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank
Who
you.
parked
We had
here?
fun.
I
Who
did.
parked here? All right. So we'll
Us.
have you all help out here. Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you. Well, that's going to conclude our ghost tour that we got. Now, this is not a regular tour they offer here. This was just for the press junket for The Curse of La Llorona. But what a really cool way to get some little spooky history here on the Warner Brothers backlot here in Hollywood, USA. If you want to contact us here at the Creepy Kingdom Cinema Crypt, the easiest, best way to do it is by emailing us, creepykingdom@gmail.com. And to check out that Creepy Quest episode with more of this ghost tour and obviously visuals. And for our show notes, links to all our social media, see all of our articles. Everything Creepy Kingdom is just sitting there waiting for you at creepykingdom.com. And if you would like to support what we do here at Creepy Kingdom and get bonus content, then go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/creepykingdom. We have our exclusive podcast, uncensored, off the rails show, live from the dungeon. And for right now, and I don't know how much longer, the exclusive online home of our documentary about Haunted Mansion fans, Foolish Mortals. That might be changing soon. So if you were on the fence about it, I'd say now's the time to jump on it. Okay, until next time, let's close the crypt.